All right. And hello, I'm Jennifer Britton, the author of Reconnecting Workspaces and the creator of the Hybrid Work Styles quiz. I'm super excited today to sit down with Valerie, one of our Reconnecting Workspaces certified coaches, and also someone who's going to be well positioned to deliver coaching around the Hybrid Work Styles quiz. So, Valerie, thanks for sitting down with me for maybe 15, 20 minutes today. Super excited to have a conversation with you around hybrid and remote work. So, what's important for people to know about you and your focus right now in your work and conversations?
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me. I'm excited to be here as well. My focus right now is reentry. So the organizations and individuals that I'm working with and the teams are returning to work after pretty much 2 years of maximum telework. Some organizations have had people that have been in the office and now they are trying to bring back together people that have been in the office and people that are coming in that have been on telework. So basically like bringing people back together, dealing with the basic concerns of health and safety, also trying to rebrand their organization as hybrid organizations, that type of thing. So mostly focused on reentry.
Yeah, and I think certainly right now, as we're recording this in March of 2022, hybrid is just flourishing everywhere. So let's talk a little bit about, from your experience and what what approaches are really important in hybrid work so that people can bring their best selves to work every day.
I found with hybrid work that the formula for high performance and high performing teams is really critical. That's something that you emphasize in your work and in your book. And starting with that with organizations and teams is really important. Relationships plus results equals high performance. Teams, it's really important that they assess how they're doing with both pieces of that equation. I think with the organizations I've worked with, they've really focused on the results because they've had to obviously keep working and keep being successful. And what they're learning as they are doing reentry and becoming rebranded as hybrid workspaces, that it's really critical for them to be intentional about the relationships piece because the work schedules vary, the workspaces vary, people are in different places, different parts of the country, people have moved, relocated. So, being intentional about the relationships piece is critical. And also you talk about in your book and in our certification training that, no person is an island. Each person works effectively. There are people that work effectively independently, but there are others who need to connect with them for the results piece and for the relationships piece. So it's important as part of the hybrid workspace for people to realize the connection piece is really important. Another thing that I've noticed that's really critical is for hybrid organizations to rebrand themselves as hybrid organizations and to be intentional about saying we are a hybrid workspace now, and acknowledging that this is the way of the future, being intentional about ensuring they have the systems that support their team and their effective results in relationships.
Love that. And again, you're echoing so much of what I heard yesterday. I was with an organization and I love that the way you framed it for us, rebranding as hybrid workspaces, because really 2 years after, the pivot happened, it's not the same. It's not the same. And so we need to really reposition, rebuild culture, reorient, rebrand, as you said. And that relationships piece is so critical. I was meeting yesterday lunchtime with a group of 50 at an organization, and they were across a pretty good geographic area. But, people came onto the call, of course, didn't want to put on their cameras, but with the request, hey, let's take a minute just to wave to everyone. You could actually see almost the relief of people going, it's really nice to see people on the screen. And they'll be moving back in part into some workspaces in about a month's time. But again, it's going to be a while, if any, before they're all back face to face. I think they've really decided they love the flexibility of giving people the ability to work from home. And they will be in the office, but geographically, it makes sense. It saved them. We talked a lot about the benefits to their organization, everything from the savings of time to actually getting to know people more effectively because of the virtual environment. Many of the people who were maybe in more junior roles would never have had the same exposure to people across the organization if they had had to geographically commute. So let's talk a little bit. You've been a Reconnecting Workspaces certified coach for some time now. And what do you enjoy about this body of work? Because you've been taking it out in your own work. So, what would you like to share about what you enjoy about the book or the resources made available?
Well, I just enjoy the volume of the content. There's just so much to choose from. And just when I think I've figured out something or I've gotten everything out of, something, I look at the book and I see another angle or another perspective or another tool. And so there's just so much information that can be adapted for individual work, teamwork, organizational work, with any type of worker across your digital dozen spectrum. Even self-reflection, some of the questions, if you're a leader or an individual, even, some of the questions or tools you can adapt for yourself. The team tools, I've worked with that a lot, as you know. I've crosswalked the team tools to the 7 remote enablers, which is just a really quick way to help organizations or teams kind of hone down a tool that may help them in their spaces. And also you can adapt the team tools for workshops with large volumes of people. And again, the questions can spark conversation at the individual level between a coach and client, between a leader and a team, and also, again, are useful for individual reflection. So I enjoy all of it. And the organization, the way that you organize the book, the relationship of the Reconnecting Workspaces book to the 90-day guide. There's just so much content and can be adapted to whatever situation, whatever organization, whatever team, whatever type of worker and where they are in their career. So your intentionality with the work has made it really easy for me to work with all types of organizations.
I love hearing that, right? And when I embarked on starting to write Reconnecting Workspaces way back in 2017, not knowing what lay ahead, certainly the intent was that it was supposed to be this practical primer. I actually found some notes that I had made as I was embarking on it. I wanted it to be a book that was practical, that covered the spectrum of leadership and teamwork and working life in the remote space. And again, I love how you're able to take it as a practitioner forward at all those different levels, one-on-one, with teams, with entire organizations. So I know one thing you've gotten excited about recently, not only is the 90-day guide, and maybe just, from your practitioner standpoint, how do you differentiate 90-day guide for success from Reconnecting Workspaces? What do you see as a primary difference there that people should know about?
So I think the 90-day guide is, in the use that in the way that I've used it, is like, this is a workbook. So it takes, the content of the Reconnecting Workspaces and it puts it into an actual workbook that you can hand somebody. You can just give somebody and just say, go at it, or you can coach them through it, or you can work with teams. And so I have a client as an individual who is starting a leadership role and just was really trying to feel his way out and figure out, he knew he needed something, wasn't sure what it was. And he has just kind of plowed through the 90-day guide on his own and has just felt he's doing so much better with his work, and it just grounds him. It gives him something to hold on to that's tangible. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I've worked with an intern who has never worked before, and giving this person the 90-day guide. And, for a first-time work experience, it helps them really understand what it's like to work, and what it's like to connect with an organization, and let them kind of walk through and be intentional about connecting. So used it to work, with people at two ends of their career, and it's equally useful.
I love that. Thank you for that great definition, because I often get asked as the author, what's the difference? And I like to just simply say the 90-day guide, it's that onboarding or reboarding guide. But I love how you've provided, it really was written for people who are new to the workforce, but also very seasoned, because we can all benefit from that sort of intentional, you've used that word a couple of times, the intentional focus in the hybrid and the remote workspace. So third piece I want to dive into today is the latest piece of this, and no doubt it will continue to evolve, but the hybrid work styles quiz. So talk a little bit for people, maybe one who don't know about what it is, but also how you found it to be useful. So I'll just say, if people haven't found the hybrid work styles quiz, you can go over to bit.ly.com/hybrid hybrid work quiz. I hope I got that right. I'm pretty sure I did. But you can just go to reconnectingworkspaces.com as well, and you'll find it there. So Valerie, talk a little bit about hybrid work styles and hybrid work styles quiz. What's been your experience with that so far?
So the hybrid work styles for me has been a way to make I think we've talked about this before, the invisible visible and the intangible tangible. And in the workspace, people have learned a lot about strengths, and they've learned a lot about their styles and their types, but not really specifically about the hybrid workspace. And people have, I think, in some ways kind of cobbled together relationships and are still trying to figure out, without being physically connected with everyone in the same space all the time, who we are and how do we do things. And knowing your own hybrid work style, there's 5 types. Knowing your own hybrid work style and how you work well in a hybrid workspace, what your triggers may be, what your challenges may be, and how to connect better is really helpful. But also in organizations and in groups, to understand what each person's style is. And I love when you say, each style is important to have on a team, that there's not any one style that's superior to the other, or, worse than the other, but knowing what your style is, knowing what others' styles are, and knowing where the collaboration and connection pieces are, and then maybe where some of the friction points are. It just really opens up the conversation, opens up the dialogue, and it helps people feel connected, and helps, I think, moving forward in assigning work, in working with clients, working with customers, determining who's strong where. It's just, I think, a wonderful tool, and it is specific to the hybrid workspace, which I don't know that we have. I've seen otherwise.
Yeah, I think at this stage when we're recording it, this was something that I really wanted to bring out into the world. I've been percolating on it for a long time. Really has evolved out of so many years, now decades of work with the hybrid world. And, things get magnified. So our styles really do get magnified. And as we heard from Valerie, there are just certain things that help us flow, but also things that get in the way of our working style. And with things getting magnified and being very quick and often very uncertain, it's just an easy way to open those doorways. I love the way you put it: communication, clarity. So we go back to the 7 remote enablers to really think about, how does this help us do our best work, leverage those results, and get those relationships in order so that we can just be running and, enjoying, hopefully not just doing work, but like enjoying the work that we do and finding a great balance between in person, maybe still some work from home, but in a place where we are connected even more. So as we go to sort of move to this last part of our conversation today, I'm wondering what tips and ideas you want to share with any listeners, whether they're leaders or whether they're team members. This body of work really is not just for leaders. As we know, in the hybrid and remote workspace, everyone needs to be a leader, even if they don't have the title. So what are your tips to leave us with, Valerie?
Well, you started out with a great one, with the 9 skills. And one of the things that I emphasize when I work with groups, when I work with leaders, is that a lot of times in these evolving workspaces, we are depending upon our leaders to decide everything, do everything, tell us, what to do, and whether we can like it or we cannot like it. And it's uncharted territory for a lot of folks, even seasoned leaders. And so the skills of, trust and relationships and relationship management and, conflict management, these are skills that everyone needs to develop, not just leaders. And I also like to emphasize that, being flexible, being compassionate, having empathy, that these are things that the leaders need from their staffs as much as the staffs need from their leaders. And so that we are all in this together, and can really create something amazing. There are lots of opportunities in the evolving workspace. I think that sometimes people can grieve, and maybe they should, the way that things were, but there's a lot to embrace in the evolving workspace on what it can be. And I've said the words intentional. And so being intentional about rebranding, being intentional about being inclusive, being intentional about relationships and results, and making sure that you're continually assessing where you are on that equation to ensure that you have the right balance is critical going forward.
Fantastic. So for people who want more resources, definitely pick up a copy of either book, Reconnecting Workspaces, or the 90-day guide. You'll find that at your local Amazon. If you're interested in the quiz, head on over to reconnectingworkspaces.com or /bit.ly.com /hybrid work quiz. Valerie, it's been amazing to sit down with you this morning. I really look forward. I hope that I'll have you back for another conversation like this, because certainly right now, now is the time, and people like Valerie can provide just an insight into how the work is done. If you're interested in getting more support, we are growing a whole cadre of people like Valerie who are taking this work out into the world. So definitely contact us. I'm Jennifer Britton, and I hope that you've enjoyed this. Certainly, I've enjoyed sitting down with you today, Valerie. Any final thoughts before we go to wrap up?
Jennifer, just amazed at your body of work. You know, Jennifer has not only the books, she's got podcasts, she has, you know, her website, she's got YouTube, so lots and lots of supportive resources. And even with your 90-day guide, I also share the link to your YouTube page. So lots of supportive resources as well. So I appreciate you. I thank you for sharing these tools with us so that we can help. And one thing I wanted to say is that this information is so timely. And so it just makes our work so much easier. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, back at you. So everyone enjoy, and we will be doing one of these again soon. Thanks so much, Valerie. Have a good day, everyone. Be well. Bye.